Welcome to the Critical Cast. My name is RuneSlinger87. I'm just a guy with too many dice, not enough time, and too many options. Well, today, let's go ahead and kick off this video. I'm going to start by giving some context to what I'm going to be talking about. First, I gotta say, I'm not a big fan of fanboy type channels. And when I say fanboys, I do mean, you know, people like myself who play on PC, people who play dice games, fans of company. I think it's great to be a fan of company. But I think right now we're starting to see on a wide level, a really wide level, these companies don't care about you. They just want you to consume their product and go on to the next product that they push out. And I think people are starting to see that. Um, Now, this guy, I do like his content, right? Like I am a fan. I've been watching him. I do listen to what he has to say. I understand that there's some bias, but um, when I listen to somebody, I also will dissect what they say on my own time after I've heard it and kind of figure out what to do with the information. Do some fact finding, what's true, what's not true. You know what I mean? Like that's all we can really do. And if you're a smart consumer, you'll actually do things like that. You'll put your fanboyism aside and stick with the facts. It's okay to have favorites. Like um, it. Let's see
Quick
his
update on the status.
oop, RGT 85. Like he's a big fan of Nintendo, right? Like he's got a pretty decent sized following. I mean, look at that. The video cranked out 7 hours ago, and already we're over 30K. Like that's a pretty big fan base. And you know what? No shade being thrown. I think that's amazing. One day I aspire to be like that, but um, so I listen to his channel and others too um, on my way home from work because I've gotten about an hour drive or so. So listening to podcasts and channels kind of playing in the background is what I like to do for my pastime. Well, when I got to this video, it kind of pissed me off so bad, enough to the point where I broke my idea of waiting till Monday to go ahead and make a new cast, but I just couldn't wait. And I do want to say this right out of the gate. I agree with this man, like 100% agree. Um, well, I can't say 100. A solid 90%. I agree with everything that he says, and I think that um, I can just kind of add some context. I found myself wanting to go ahead and comment below, but um, because I again, I do like his channel. Um, I'm just familiar with the biases and things like that. It's the same as listening to Griffin Gaming these days and Fatanga Plays. Um, I listen to all those guys, right? But everybody's got their favorites, and it's important to kind of see through that information and then cipher through and make your own determining factor. But what pissed me off with this video wasn't actually the things that he was saying I disagreed with. It was that I do agree with the things that he says. Furthermore, I actually um, I think that he's right on pretty much everything. Uh, but I was trying to add comments, and I just didn't want to write a book in the comments, especially if nobody's going to read it. Their eyes glaze over when you start explaining. things like economics and the impact. So the part that is infuriating is that he's right. Um, and the purpose of my video isn't necessarily to take what he says and flip it upside down or anything of that nature. So if you are watching this with a hate boner, just know I don't have any of those feelings for his video. It's just wow, why are we still consuming and just putting up with this? And the part that really pisses me off, honest to God, isn't just that the companies raise these prices for funsies and to line their pockets a little deeper. It's that people are just going to defend it, which is God so infuriating that you yourself are willing to pay more for less because that's what you're getting. Make zero mistake about that. You are not getting a fully flushed product when you buy games nowadays. Like, here's an instance. Um, I bought Civilization 7, and I paid $120 because I like Civilization 6. I think that it's a fun game. Um, to each their own. But to me, it was such garbage, and I paid $100, $120 for a special edition, and I was willing to pay that for both PC and an Xbox version. But joke was on me. I only paid it for one, but boy, it sucked on Xbox. And I don't care enough to pay another $20 to try again for PC to see if it's a better experience. I doubt it. I really doubt it. But maybe. I'll never know because I'm not going to waste my money. And I think I think Ackman said it best. Um, the way these companies lose is if you don't play. And what he means is don't participate, but um, you know what I took away from that meaning is that if you don't like the product, don't buy it. Secondly, a lot of people, may take this as fanboyism, but I do like Microsoft's Game Pass because I do feel like I'm not going to waste that $120 on shit that I don't even like. There's plenty of things in Game Pass that I'm like, yawn, pass. But I appreciate that it's there. And when it comes to a value, I do feel like Game Pass is a good value for us, the consumer. Now, later in this video, we are going to talk about that a little bit, and that's where I'm going to add more context. For right now, I'm just going to shut up, play the video. I'm going to do my best to pause it and put in my context. I did want to go ahead and just clip some of the video, but he didn't really have a lot of pauses. And I think that goes to show what a good YouTuber he is, in as much as his content was fluid, consistent, and it kept going. So I'll go ahead and play the video. Like I said, I'm going to pause it periodically because I don't believe in playing a whole video being silent and then, you know, making money. Not that I make money off of this at all, but actually it's the opposite. I spend money. Um, but here it goes. So I'll shut up and I'll play it.
Stepdad, I'm not going to put a timestamp because I'm feeling lazy today, but actually a very good night last night. He's starting to be a bit more alert and whatnot. Starting to feel very sore from falling on the ground and continuously falling on the ground for 2 hours, but he's starting to get feeling back on his left side. So things are looking good. Hopefully he gets out of the ICU and into a rehab facility soon so that he can start doing more physical therapy. But yes, he is feeling better. But I'm not feeling better now because
First of all, of course, I feel like this shouldn't go without saying. Um, my thoughts and prayers go out to his family, especially with his stepdad. I haven't gotten to the part of my life where I'm having to deal with these types of medical situations with family members, whether that be parents or anybody like that. So my heart really does go out for them because that's hard. Um, I'm glad that he's doing better. I'm glad that we're moving in the right direction in that way. Uh, what I do for a living, not that I like to blend what I do for a living and YouTube, but I do work in the estates unit. So I can see kind of often when people don't make it through and they're not recovering, and then they leave behind loved ones and things like that. Um, I'm glad this just wasn't a case of that. So my heart goes out to them. But let's go ahead and get into the content.
of the fact that, well, it seems like the bottom is falling out on the video game industry. Rising prices have been something that we have been talking a lot about on this channel, obviously, in regards to Nintendo. Things like Mario Kart World being $80 and lots of questions surrounding that, and of course, the future of video game prices. But now, hey, Microsoft said, you know what? I think it's time we got in on this party. I think we should start to talk about $80 games and rising prices of video game consoles and stuff like that, cuz boy oh boy, they went all out with this. Now this is coming to us from
And that right there is a huge reason why I hated the Nintendo price increase. It wasn't because they wanted more money. It wasn't because of the tariffs. It wasn't because of any other reason than greed itself. Greed itself it is what made those prices go up. And do not be confused and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I don't care if you're red, blue, whatever side of the aisle you're on, in the middle, green, I don't care. You probably think these tariffs suck. Your reasoning for how they came to be, that may differ depending on what side of the aisle you stand on, but it sucks either way. And what's even worse is that these price increases did not take because of the fact that these tariffs went up. That was the excuse that was given. That's the difference. They aren't the reason, they are the excuse. But let's listen a little bit more. I'm getting kind of pissed off already again.
The Verge. I would link you Verge in the description box down below, but you blocked me on social media on Twitter, so I'm not going to do that. You can go to The Verge and read it for yourself. Like, I don't know, that's weird. Like, I don't know what I did. Microsoft is raising prices on Xbox consoles, controllers, and games worldwide. New first party Xbox games are moving from $69.99 to $79.99 later this year, but there are no increases to Xbox Game Pass yet.
Okay, so to kind of address that, and I'll go into that a bit more later, I think that's by design. And I think that they put that Game Pass has no increase on purpose. Companies don't make these decisions off the top of their head. Like it's something that they really think out now or think through. Now they're responding to Nintendo increasing their price, but I think that the strategy is a little bit more complex than we just want more money. But let's go ahead and continue.
You should have put a yet on that because I mean, I think we can all see the writing on the wall with this. If your games are increasing in
Here is the 10% difference of what I agree with on this video. Um, I don't really think that. I'll put it this way: if they increase the price of Game Pass, am I going to be surprised? No, not really. Am I going to be shocked? No. But later on, I will definitely go into why I feel that this here is a true, sincere statement.
price, then you are increasing the price of Game Pass, which people use to play games. So here is what is happening with all of this. Microsoft is raising the prices of Xbox Series S, X consoles, controllers, and even some new games around the world. Starting today, Microsoft says that it has adjusted its recommended retail pricing for its Xbox consoles and controllers, with the Xbox Series X now being $600.
See, now, if the statement was we're increasing the cost of our hardware, yeah, I would still roll my eyes, but I could see a larger company, well, really any company, increasing their prices based off of tariffs, market conditions, blah, 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 blah. But the fact that we're doing it on software, mind you, the days of physical software, that's on its way out. So how is that? I mean, I know that there's still going to be some physical media, but is that really enough to increase the price that high? I don't think so.
You know, this the console that's not selling well at all, that we have documentation of it not selling very well at all, is now $600, and they are now planning to adjust pricing of some of its new first party Xbox games this holiday season up to $80. Once again, a large jump here is what we're seeing. Xbox Series S is moving up from $299 to $379.99, a hike of $80. The Xbox Series S 1 terabyte is moving to $429.99, and Xbox Series X all digital will now be priced at $550 with the 2 terabyte Galaxy Black Special Edition model, and an eye-watering $730. Bro, who's paying?
That is insane. This is why I preach to go buy a PC. It's not because I'm a fanboy, and ultimately, at the end of the day, if you're a console person, hey, more power to you. But when it comes to tolerating that price and talking to me about how much cheaper your gaming experience is, well, yeah, no shit, your gaming experience is cheaper than mine. Sure, up front, if we're talking uh, our first console, your first console versus my first PC, oh yeah, you blew me out of the water on costs, bro. You saved so much money compared to me because mine, and this is older numbers, but I did recently price it out. If I were to get my PC parts off of Amazon, Newegg, shopped around, did it intelligently, I'm looking at about 15 to 1800 bucks for the type of build that I want. Now I'm talking really good video card. I'm talking an AMD processor. I'm talking. I don't remember what AMD processor I used. I want to say it was the 9, but I could be wrong on that. It's been a little bit. Um, Hard drives, all that kind of stuff. I did go ahead and splurge. Now that 1800 is not actually how much I paid for it. That is if I were to buy the machine or the equivalent parts that are available today when I bought it. So that is relevant information. You only paid Let's say you did the 800. Like, I don't care which of those you tell me you picked. Like, great. It just we can't really do apples to apples if we're talking about the 1 terabyte S model. Um, and even at that, really, the digital uh, Series X and the 2 terabyte, we're not really in the same realm. I'm just being fair. And look, guys, I've got an Xbox back there, right? Like, I do play on my couch. I do have some days where I come from home from work and all I want to do is sit on the couch and play a video game. I get it. I understand the appeal. Okay. Having said that, here's the difference between my Xbox and my computer. I paid about $1,800. Well, I've got a video card in my computer that's probably going to last me in the neighborhood of about five years or so. Maybe sometimes I can push it a little bit there, but I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to do what I would do normally with my behavior, and that is I will upgrade my computer, which is going to probably cost me in the neighborhood of $500, maybe so, and well, when the new Xbox comes out, your ass is paying for a brand new Xbox, and right now it's looking like 1729. Now, when I looked at mine and I told you 800, I was including taxes, and I was including like 10% in taxes, and I think it may even be a little bit less than that in Arizona, but in Phoenix specifically. But I don't know as I sit here, so I'm not gonna fluff the number. But yours is $729.99 plus tax. So let's go ahead and call that somewhere in the realm of $10 on every 100, 50, damn near, if not over $800. So now 8 and 8, and that assumes that they don't increase the price. 1600, 1600, just because they come up with a new console. Oh, and here's another fun fact. My PC has made me thousands of dollars. My Xbox has costed me money, but it's never made me money. Now, if you're a YouTube content creator, that might be a little bit different for you, but I run a business off my PC. I play games off of my PC. I do my homework off my PC. I work from home on my PC. I do a lot of things on my PC. So make no mistake, if your argument is, well, PCs cost more, uh, no, they really don't. But, anyways, as you can tell, I'm getting a little spicy and I'm a little pissed off by this whole concept and really by the whole argument and the defense. But here we go.
Who is paying $730 for a digital Xbox Series X console? Microsoft, no, no, I understand. I understand real world situations, economic situations, but you have to realize that nobody's really buying these consoles right now. And that's not a shot at Microsoft, because Xbox fanboys, when I say things like the console isn't selling, like, oh, they don't care about that. They don't care about that. This is just documented factual things.
Yeah, again, I mean, fanboys are disgusting on all sides, right? Um, they'll make excuses for why things like it is so weird to be okay with getting screwed over by a company and then defending it. Like, that is so weird, but yet it is constantly done. And honestly, that's why I used to watch a lot of Griffin Gaming and Fatanga Plays, and I still like those guys. I like the channels. Fatanga Plays does the fanboying when it comes to political stuff, so I roll my eyes whenever we make those kind of jests. But you know, there's a place for that kind of stuff. Like, if that's what you believe in, fine. But your information is sometimes tainted, and often is tainted. And that, like, that's not a political statement. That is factual. When you're a fanboy of anything, you're definitely going to have biases.
$730. This is crazy. So then, of course, it continues on. Xbox wireless controllers and headsets are also having their recommended retail pricing adjusted in the US, with the base controller moving to $64.99 and the Xbox wireless headset at $120. You can already find both of these accessories at this type of pricing right now. Let's go. I can't wait to pay $120 for a headset. Some new Xbox games are moving from $69.99 to $79.99 this holiday season, in a move that matches the more expensive pricing of Nintendo's top Switch 2 launch titles. I mean, there's only one. It's Mario Kart World. Game Pass will remain the same throughout. The Xbox console and controller prices increases will impact European countries, including the UK, as well as markets like Australia. In Europe and the UK, the Xbox Series S is now priced at €349.99 or £300, stuff like that. You can just go on here. The pricing rises come amid uncertainty over the tariffs, and just a day after Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella revealed that Microsoft ended the quarter as the top publisher by pre-orders and pre-installs on both Xbox and PlayStation Store.
And kind of going back to this, if we were just talking about price increases for hardware, I can see that. I still think it's stupid. I think it's greedy, but that's what a company's sole reason for existing is to make money, right? So, and before anybody's like, "Oh, Trump this and Trump this, and this is all his fault," blah blah blah. If it wasn't Trump, it would be somebody else that's the problem, right? So, political biases aside, companies looked for a reason to do this. If they if they really cared about you, they would wait until the tariffs took place. And the tariffs did for what, a week or something like that at best. I don't even remember. I don't really follow because I don't, you know, politics. Well, I know a bit about it. It's not really my thing, and it's not fun to me. Um, and really, the way how I live my life is, um, I'm going to continue living. I'm going to keep buying stuff as long as I can. I'm going to keep enjoying my life. So I don't really personally care. I care that the price goes up, sure, but until there's like this big revolution and everybody's got to pick sides or any crazy nonsense like that, like I just live my life and I kind of stick in my own lane. I don't try to convince anybody to be red or blue. To be honest with you, I'm probably somewhere in the middle because I have things that I do like from both sides. So the argument of this is because tariffs is bullshit, and it is an excuse. Companies will say whatever the hell they need in order to get you to just buy it, shut up, stop asking questions, and just buy.
And you see, this is where things get a little bit murky for me. I'm not a political analyst. I'm not a political fanboy or anything like that. But if we're just talking about prices for tariffs, and we're talking about tariffs and tariffs this and tariffs that, why are they raising it in European countries as well?
The reason why they're doing that is because of not the tariffs necessarily that are happening in the United States, but it is a result of the tariffs that were put on them. That is the whole thing with the tariff war. That's why we, the people, pay the price of a tariff. Now, I can't believe that people didn't really know that before they were talking about how good tariffs are. But you and I don't win. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. We all lose. Um, Companies don't lose because what do? They increase the prices to cover those losses. They don't care. So yeah, we put a tariff on them, and then they put a tariff on us, and an eye for an eye. Everybody goes blind. I'm not a pacifist. I'm not saying that there doesn't need to be things done, but that's the reality of the situation. And if you don't know that, I'm sorry for you. Like I don't need an economics degree. I don't need to study politics. Like that's something that really upsets me. Um, is that people I don't have any superpowers, right? I don't know this endlessly. What I do is I fucking read. And I don't read imright.com. So if you really want to know why prices go up and the tide comes in, tide goes out, and why grass is green and water's wet, read a fucking well, books are kind of out now. You don't even have to read a book. Google. That's all I use. God.
Like, are European countries doing the same thing as as USA is doing when it comes to having like tariff differentials and stuff like that? This is crazy. This industry, oh man. Like let's just call a spade here. Let's just be realistic. Nintendo can get away with some of this. This is a it pains me to say this because it is aggravating, but Nintendo can get away with the console pricing that they have because when you look at it, it's actually a very good deal. And
Okay, this is where the fanboyism comes into play. We've gone from talking about how this is disgusting that Microsoft does this to saying it's bad that Nintendo does this, but it's understandable why Nintendo does this because, well, their games are better, blah, blah, blah. That may be so, but that is not a result of tariffs. That's called supply and demand. The reason why these games are going to cost what they are is because a company needs to present a price of said product that they are selling. We, the people, the consumers, tell them whether that's acceptable or not. The way how we go about telling them if that's acceptable or not is if we buy the shit, it's acceptable. They don't care why it's acceptable. To a degree, they have marketing and they need to understand and blah blah blah, so they can uh, replicate the process. So from that perspective, they care. But do they actually care? No, not really, because you bought their product, so you're okay with it. Demand. This is where they're going to have some problems. They are going to price people out of playing their video games. That is supply and demand. So even if some people want to buy it and are okay buying it, they're not going to be able to buy it. Supply and demand. Everything in the United States, really the world, has to do with supply and demand. Understanding what that is, like, again, I don't have an economics degree. I did take economics in fucking high school, and I'm 38 now. So it's not that hard.
in terms of handheld devices that are currently out there, this is a very strong system. Nintendo also has crazy brand loyalty.
And there it is right there. And yes, they do. Well, is it really a powerful console? I don't know. I feel like now I haven't been a Nintendo guy since the GameCube, right? That's not to say I didn't like them. I just kind of phased out of that. Um, they're good games, but again, I don't objectively of the three choices: Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation, and let's even throw in the Steam Deck. It does not rival any of those. I haven't looked up the stats. I don't know whether or not it beats the Steam Deck. I doubt it. And even if the new um, Nintendo does outpace uh, the Switch, well, congratulations. I fucking hope my Xbox Series X is faster than my original Xbox. You're telling me that a past generation console is slower than a new console? What? Water's wet, grass is green? I can't believe it.
And with this brand loyalty, the $80 game here and there, we'll say, people will do it. People are going to do it. People have already started to do it with Mario Kart World. It's not an ideal situation, but it is something that people are willing to do because, they love Mario Kart.
Supply and demand, guys. Supply and demand. Here's an example of it. They made a game that ultra kind of sucks. Like the feature is so that you can explore the world and lose the race, but yet people, because it's Mario, said, "Yeah, I'll buy it." So expect shit to get cranked out like that is low hanging fruit. But hey, the market's okay with it, so they're gonna sell it.
Xbox doesn't have that same brand loyalty. Xbox doesn't have that same sort of situation. And people can say that it's because of the economic conditions that now they are raising the price of games up to $80. But I also feel like when you're the biggest publisher in the world, like you just said, on both Xbox and PlayStation, and then you start introducing that $80 price point right after you say that, are like what oh man.
Yeah, I'm with him on that one. That's all you can say. It is a deep sigh of defeat. That's it.
Like it's a tough pill to swallow. But you know what? This is all going to happen. This is all exactly how I thought things were going to play out. This is exactly what I've been saying. No, I'm just kidding. But with the gaming crash situation that I've been talking about for, a year plus now, things like this are going to start weighing very heavily on the industry. The
I don't think it will. I think it should, but I feel like people are just gonna buy shit and make excuses for companies like it always has. I'm not that old at 38, but I do remember going to Best Buy and buying a video game for $29.99. And yeah, wages have gone up, right? Um, the cost to make technology has gone up, but Larian Studios showed us if you can concentrate and make a good product, you don't need to do a bunch of DLC. You don't need to do a bunch of loot boxes. You don't need to do all that kind of garbage. Because the amount of volume of people who will buy said product are going to be much higher. I don't want to be a broken record, but, supply and demand.
$80 game is going to really start to alienate a lot of people when it comes to purchasing games and stuff like that. And, $730 for an all digital Xbox Series X system, like at least with the PlayStation 5 Pro, there is a bump in visual resolution. But why am I going to buy this Xbox console? Like, we also know, by the way, we also learned that Game Pass has completely stagnated. Call of freaking Duty only boosted Game Pass on Xbox by about 1%.
I mean, I don't know the stats, so I can't really say yes or no whether it did or didn't boost. If it was only 1%, but um, I'm imagining without knowing the stats, right? I could be pulling this out of my ass, but 1% numbers wise is a big difference, like big difference. So I don't know what people were expecting the price would be, but um, I'm pretty sure that the billion dollar, I'm sorry, no, not billion, not the $1 trillion company, I'm pretty sure they've got a room in a building maybe full of analysts going ahead and forecasting what something's going to do. So again, kind of going back to what I think is happening, um, I don't feel like this is a surprise, and I don't feel like this is something that is just absolutely shocking to them.
1%. So, like, Game Pass is going to have to adjust to this as well. And holy shit, man. This is nuts, bro. This is nuts. Like, these companies, they need to take a step back and really start to figure things out, because especially Xbox. I just don't see this playing out well for them. I don't see this helping, systems. Like, people already are not buying Xbox consoles. I have mine. I thoroughly enjoy it. But things like this are going to, deter would be customers and stuff like that. And now raising the price of everything, I don't know, man.
So I'm just gonna let the cat out of the bag right now. What I think is going to happen. Um, I think that they are going to increase the cost of video games. And if the people who buy the video games buy them, great, they made a sell. They're selling just like everybody else. Which, by the way, the person buying the video game is probably going to be paying for Game Pass anyway, since it's now all looped into the same thing. But what's going to be the big difference is even if they don't increase the cost, like he was saying, a bunch of Game Pass, a bunch of people that get priced out of the gaming industry because they can't afford those games, they're going to buy things like Game Pass. And because they're going to buy things like Game Pass, it's going to allow them to have a much better experience. Microsoft is going to get the people who are okay and will pay more for the game, but they're going to retain the people who can't afford the games. And the way how they're going to do that is because inevitably, when PlayStation increases their prices, Nintendo already has, Xbox has, um, well, there's only really one place to go. Now, I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen necessarily, but I am saying that that's what Microsoft is probably banking on.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But I want to know, does this make you, like, if you don't own an Xbox, I don't think you're ever going to buy one at this point. Because if you don't own an Xbox, you probably have a PlayStation.
Incorrect. Even if I, so I have nothing against PlayStation. I don't. I just don't have one because I don't know. I just didn't. If I wanted to go buy one tomorrow, I would. Um, with budgeting and stuff like that. But I mean, my desire to. If there were any games that I truly gave a shit about that was only on PlayStation, I would go ahead and buy a PlayStation. Unfortunately, the only game that I personally care about is Bloodborne, and that is not worth a PlayStation to me. Are there others that I'm sure I would play and enjoy? Yeah, probably. But even if I didn't have an Xbox, I would still be paying for Game Pass because I do like it on my PC. Now, again, a lot of room for improvement. I'm not saying that it's like top tier God quality, but for $20 a month, which I think even just the one version is less than that, but because I've got a console, I pay the $20 a month. I don't care because now when a game comes out like Oblivion, I download it, play it. If I like it enough, I'll go buy it. But I don't see why I would do that really anymore. Because even when you buy video games, you don't own the video games anymore. So, it just makes it so that it makes sense to me because the $20 a month is cheaper than me buying a few I'm sorry, not Oblivion, um, Civilization 7 experiences. I would much rather pay the $20 a month for 12 months uh, and then not be surprised or upset when a game sucks. Now, when a game sucks, I'm just kind of like, wow, that blows. I'll never play that again. I didn't lose anything. Not, I mean, I guess if you really break down the money at some point and you divide that up per day by how many games I play, I suppose you could put a monetary volume on that value. Excuse me, but it's been a skill compared to buying these games full price. So I here's another area where I disagree. Um, because you can get Game Pass on other things, and that's what they're pushing for, is to be able to put it on things like your tablet and stream. And now, do I like that experience? No, not really, but that's the way how the future is. So you can either be a resistance to it and still wind up having to change or getting out, or accept it. Um, And if you don't accept it, that's fine. Don't buy their shit. Let them know that you don't like what they have. You don't have to buy anything you don't like.
And if the games are coming over to PlayStation, you can at least pick and choose which games you want to play and not have to worry about paying for the Xbox console and then paying for Game Pass. I know people are going to say that this makes Game Pass more attractive, but if you don't, if you're raising the cost of buying a game, you're also going to raise the cost of Game Pass. You have to.
Wrong. You don't have to. I understand why you think that, and I understand why you're saying that. But if you're increasing the prices for bullshit reasons, all you're doing is trying to make as much money as you can, which, again, we've established that is the sole purpose of a company's existence is to make money. Now, what happens is Nintendo came out and said, "Hey, we're going to raise the prices." And now Xbox is doing that. And I bet you anything, I so bet you that PlayStation very soon will go ahead and make that announcement. If they don't, they're going to pitch it like they're the heroes of the market, which would be a smart thing to do. But I don't think that they're going to do that. I think they're going to raise their prices too. Well, meantime, the underdog, the Xbox, is going to say, well, these are the prices, and we're just charging what the market, times are. Or you can buy Game Pass for a much less cost, have a wider variety of games and be able to basically try before you buy on the new titles that come out, well, that's the way we're heading. Movie theaters used to be a great business to be in, right? They would sell all that popcorn, candy. They'd make less on the movie, the individual places, and more on the concession stand stuff. And that was the business model. Now we got things like Paramount Plus, Disney Plus, uh, whatever streaming service, Netflix, etc. Uh, there are still moviegoers. I'm not saying the movie theater business is dead necessarily, but they definitely took a hit for streaming between COVID and streaming in general. I think I went to like two movies in the last 5 years in the movie theater, but that's just me.
If your game is now 80, like, man, man, oh man, oh man. So let me know in the comment section down below. How are we feeling about this? How are we feeling about Xbox's new pricing strategy?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm pretty pissed off. As a consumer, this sucks. I can't say that I'm surprised by it, but it sucks. Um, as a shareholder, oh, this would be gold to me. I do not personally have any stock in Microsoft, uh, but if I did, I would be happy. But all right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. Um, this has been one heck of a ride. Legitimately, I was pissed off. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all those kind of things. Also, too, go ahead and give this man a like, share, subscribe, follow his content. He's a great guy. RGT85. He's. I admit that I enjoy the content of a person who puts their opinions on the internet, because inevitably you're going to take shit from people, whether it's right or wrong. You're going to get some jackass like me who comes along and says why you're wrong. But I, it takes courage to get up there and actually voice your opinion, no matter what that is. We can talk about whether it's right or wrong, but thank you for doing this. I appreciate what you do. Having said that, that's it for this episode of the Critical Cast. I'll see you guys all next time, as long as the world doesn't end first.